begin with a quick note on a situation in Arapahoe County. Firefighter and two other people have gone to the hospital with smoke inhalation. They were injured in an apartment complex at Yale in Quebec when it caught fire. No one else was hurt. The complex's reserve at Hunter's Run. Smoke and fire were coming out of all three stories when firefighters first got there this afternoon. Yale is closed in that area to allow firefighters space to work. We'll pass along any significant updates here. You can find continuing coverage on 9news.com, our app, and on social media. When did we decide that it is settled fact that tourists are just pouring into Colorado for legal marijuana? Where's the evidence? Not anecdotes. Don't tell me about your buddy who came here to get baked. Let's talk evidence, like what our Steve Steger found.
If you've lived here more than a month, you've heard it from friends from out of town. That perception that we all live in a constant Cheech and Chong movie. It's annoying. You hear it from tourists, too.
Before I arrived, I assumed that it would be more of like a Woodstock Festival vibe.
Like this guy. Full disclosure, he had a swear word on his shirt, and I, being the super observant reporter I am, didn't notice it.
A lot of hippies, a lot of pot-oriented themed restaurants or, places, dispensaries or coffee shops.
And what did Eric find?
The complete opposite.
At the beginning, I think there was so much talk about it that there was some concern that everywhere they went, people would be smoking, and especially for families, that was a concern.
Denise Miller works for a research firm that has studied the impact of pot on tourism in Colorado. Out of all the tourists surveyed, only 5% say pot was the driving factor of their vacation. 12% of tourists reported visiting a dispensary while they're here. And get this one, 64% said pot had no influence on their decision to come to Colorado. Still, those pesky perceptions.
There was lots of publicity about the legalization. There wasn't very much publicity about all the restrictions that were included in that legalization.
Maybe those perceptions are starting to die.
The people who were concerned it might keep them away aren't being kept away.
Here's an interesting fact, too. According to the survey, those who went to dispensaries actually did more stuff than people who didn't. They're more likely to visit museums, experience that urban lifestyle. They are less likely, though, to climb, hike, do all that physical stuff, Kyle.
All right, Steve, thank you. The 21-year-old facing charges for threatening to kill a Republican state senator is also in really, really big trouble with his mom. It's not funny. The threat, at least, is not. But today, when reporters went to the suspect's house, his mother was all too happy to out him as basically a loser who watched cable news and mouthed off on the internet. Dylan Hopkins is 21, lives at home with mom. He's facing harassment charges. He admitted to police that he threatened State Senator Laura Woods on Facebook because he was frustrated about the election. Woods is a conservative Republican from Arvada. Hopkins' mom says she's taking away his TV, internet, and phone privileges and making him write an apology letter to Senator Woods. Republican vice presidential nominee Governor Mike Pence spoke to Next today, shortly after the announcement of an arrest in New York and New Jersey's bombing cases. Ahmad Rahami, a naturalized American citizen originally from Afghanistan, was injured today in a shootout with police in Linden, New Jersey. Two officers who were shot are expected to survive. Investigators have linked Rahami to the bomb found in New Jersey and the three bombs found in New York. One exploded, injuring 29 people. Governor Mike Pence joins us now from Iowa. Governor, thank you for your time. Donald Trump boasted on Fox and Friends this morning that he called the New York and New Jersey bombings terrorism before the news did. And then following the Orlando terror attack, he tweeted, "Appreciate the congrats for being right on radical Islamic terrorism." Why does Donald Trump see tragedies and attacks as opportunities to brag and boast about himself?
Well, I think it's that Donald Trump is someone who, as a candidate and after he becomes president of the United States of America, is going to speak truth to the American people. This clearly was a series of terrorist attacks in New York and New Jersey and in Minnesota, and in Donald Trump, we have someone who's willing to say that we have to change the policies and strategies and the leadership of this nation to confront radical Islamic terrorism.
Our conversation with Governor Pence continues later on Next as we discuss whether Trump would make it easier to revoke the citizenship of naturalized Americans. And we explore Trump's comment today that terrorists are praying for Hillary Clinton to win. Next, we'll take a real look inside a Trump campaign event. You'll hear Trump rallies sometimes described by opponents as a violent stew of angry people, racist chants, widespread anger directed at reporters. That's not what our Jeremy Hohola found when he went to Trump's rally in Colorado Springs. Jeremy went not as a journalist, just as an observer.
We got our tickets. We're headed there. Lots of people.
A few protesters were there. We saw some protesters.
My shirts are $20. Who needs a Hillary for prison?
Swag everywhere. And then as I walked through the security, which was being handled by the TSA, by the way, I was wondering who among me is among the so-called basket of deplorables. I wanted to stay away from the media pen. I wanted to be among the people. And then the arrival. And then it got even more epic. People holding up their cell phones, almost like a cell phone salute. I was like expecting Harrison Ford to step off the plane.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next President of the United States, Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Trump started talking. He hit on his usual points.
And we're up 4 points in Colorado. We're going to repeal and replace Obamacare. We're going to end illegal immigration.
And then right when he started talking about the wall, that's when I heard commotion. After all of that, things calmed down real fast, and then he did tell one thing to get out.
I see a mosquito. Right now, I don't like mosquitoes too much, though. Get out of here, you mosquito.
But for the most part, it was really a calm rally. Moms were watching with their kids. People were really listening to what he had to say.
Thank you, Colorado. November 8th. November 8th. Thank you.
Screw the media. Twist.
So things ended. Show's over, right? Oh no, things on the outside got really loud.
USA! Racist!
No Trump, no KKK, no racist USA!
Hillary sucks!
More Muslims in our military have killed American soldiers. Let them make Saudi Arabia great again.
Can you see?
In the end, things weren't as vitriolic or angry as I was expecting. So I checked with Colorado Springs police. They didn't make any arrests. So our next step here is to do this with Hillary if she comes to Colorado.
Be watching for that. Frontier Airlines is a hot mess today. Long delays due to what the airline calls gate issues. The pilots union threw the airline under the plane, shooting us an email saying, "We believe this meltdown is due to the same executive mismanagement and misplaced focus on cost cutting that has placed Frontier at the very bottom of the industry in operational performance and customer satisfaction." Oh, man. This time Friday, we were here discussing why the security scare at Rose Medical Center was not an active shooter situation, despite media reports suggesting that. What we saw was actually a slow, methodical search with no sign of an active shooter or said response. And today, investigators told us there's still no evidence that shots were ever fired at Rose. The hospital went on lockdown after reports of a man carrying a gun in the area. And 2 nurses told police they thought they heard shots fired. Police don't think that man ever made it into the hospital. What he was carrying could have been a pellet gun or something that looked similar. Police haven't found the man. At this point, that investigation's open. A good number of you have told us that the Paralympics don't get the attention that they deserve. Fair point. U.S. Paralympic team cleaned up in Rio. 115 medals, the most from Paralympic Games in 20 years for Team USA. And how about this? 4 of Colorado's 13 Paralympians medaled. That's Sophia Herzog from Fair Play. She won silver in the women's 100-meter breaststroke at the Games. It was her first Paralympics. 3 Colorado Paralympians helped the rugby team take silver. Eric Newby, Jason Regier, and Adam Scaturo all deserve a shout-out. Newby had 4 goals in the Games. Team USA lost the gold medal game to Australia narrowly by 1 point, double overtime. Von Miller is getting paid this year. Stupid money. Average annual salary, $19 million. Okay, so math is hard, but just stay with us. $19 million average annual salary. That means for every second of live action, after the snap, before the whistle, for every second of live action, Von Miller makes $5,564.79 per second, approximately. That means that he makes the average Coloradan's annual salary every 10 seconds of play. Vice presidential nominee Mike Pence tells Next what it was that Donald Trump meant today when he said that terrorists are praying for Hillary Clinton. 3 generations of women take on Colorado's toughest trail.
I ran across some strange things.
But this is new and old and unexpected. That's next.
How nice to have some warm, sunny weather for the last few days of summer. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. Other than a few high clouds in the distance, a spectacular day. Our high 90, a far cry from the average of 77, almost in record territory. Not a lot of moisture around our region, but we are tracking moisture coming in from Hurricane Payne, and the high and mid-level cloud cover associated with Payne, or the remnants thereof, will affect the weather tomorrow. It'll be a dry day, but a cloudy afternoon. In spite of that, we do anticipate that temperatures will be back close to 90 again for one more day. I think we're going to miss out on that much needed precipitation. But you can see some areas of southern Colorado may in fact see some scattered showers late in the day. In the Denver metro area for the overnight period, not bad at all. Fair skies and light winds are forecast low at 58. A beautiful day tomorrow until about 2 o'clock when the high and mid-level clouds come streaming in. We do have temperatures that start trending down. Moving into the first couple days of the new season, definitely going to start to feel more like fall with temperatures near 70 on Friday afternoon. Beautiful scenes coming in from the Colorado high country, and here I am striving to give you a brilliant fall foliage forecast, Kyle, in hopes that I might be asked back.
The naturalized U.S. citizen suspected of terrorism, arrested for the bombs in New York City and New Jersey, likely cannot be stripped of his American citizenship and deported. Denaturalization is actually exceedingly rare. It can only happen if someone joins a terror group within 5 years of becoming a citizen, or if it turns out that they lied on that citizen application. Today, I asked Republican vice presidential nominee Governor Mike Pence if a Trump administration would be more willing to strip citizenship from suspected terrorists. The suspect in the New York bombings was a naturalized American citizen. Would Mr. Trump seek to expand the grounds on which citizen can be revoked from someone who's born overseas and then becomes an American citizen?
No, I think what Donald Trump and I are committed to doing is providing our military with the resources that they need to be able to hunt down and destroy those overseas that are projecting force against our people or inspiring terrorist violence here at home. But we're also committed as the law and order team in this race. We're committed to making sure that our law enforcement community has the resources and the tools to get beyond this era of political correctness and begin to identify people who would represent a threat to our families and a threat to our communities.
Governor Pence, lastly, you've committed yourself to increase civility in politics over the years. I noticed that earlier today, Mr. Trump said on Facebook that terrorists are, quote, hoping and praying that Hillary Clinton becomes president so they can continue their savagery and murder. Does that gel with your idea of civility in politics, saying that terrorists are praying for the success of your opponent?
Well, I would say to you that what troubled me even more than any aspect of any other statement is that Hillary Clinton said that Donald Trump, my running mate's rhetoric, was giving comfort to our adversaries. The only thing that gives comfort to our adversaries is weakness.
I just want to make sure that I understand. So you're saying that Clinton's comment that Trump's words give aid and comfort to the enemy, that statement is out of bounds, but him saying that terrorists are praying for her victory, that's an acceptable statement?
I have to tell you, I think one of the things that appeals to people about Donald Trump is he speaks straight from his mind and straight from his heart. And the American people hear him loud and clear. Look, we've got to be willing to speak about these challenging times. And the truth is that the weak and feckless foreign policy of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in the last 7.5 years has emboldened our enemies.
Governor Mike Pence, thank you for your time. Travel safely for the remainder of the campaign.
Thank you.
You are now entering the Buckley Air Force Base influence area. What the hell does that mean? Good question. We go in search of an answer. No one was searching for this,
Under the dirt, nobody had any idea it was here.
but they found it. Now what to do with it? 3 generations of women from one tough family took on the Colorado Trail. That trip is not easy for anyone of any age. 62-year-old Rondi Grauberger planned the trip. It's for her and her 17-year-old granddaughter, Mikey. They decided late last year that they'd hike the nearly 500-mile-long trail. They live up in Wyoming, so they came down to the Denver area to start their trek in Waterton Canyon, and they're putting in about 20 miles a day. When they didn't camp, they'd hitchhike to the nearest town. Grandmother and granddaughter say that was their first time hitchhiking. 19 days in, Rondi developed shin splints and she had to stop in Salida. So then that's when her daughter, aka Mikey's mom, stepped in and made sure that the family quest would continue straight through. Next question. What is an airport influence district? Next viewer John Gailey wanted to know the meaning behind the signs that you'll see around Buckley Air Force Base. Those signs say, entering Buckley AFB Airport Influence District. We asked the city of Aurora to explain. The city says it's really about transparency, to warn those who are thinking about moving into the area that they can expect lots of loud noise, possible aircraft emissions, and the increased risk of plane crashes, obviously, close to a base or airport. The city says it actually has signs up with warnings for 4 airports: Buckley, DIA, Centennial Airport, and Front Range Airport. When a new home is built inside an airport influence district, builders are actually required to give buyers a notice. The buyer understands that F-16s may be roaring overhead at any time, day or night. And if you're buying a house near an airport, check the fine print in your title work. Chances are you'll see something about an airport influence district. All right, we kid with RTD about its new train system, the A-Line. Tonight we are fascinated by the old train system RTD uncovered. Construction crews were working on a massive drainage project when they unearthed an old railroad trestle bridge. RTD thinks the plans of the bridge are from 1911. We get a closer look now through the lens of photojournalist Chris Hansen.
So just over here we have work going on with drainage in the area.
Well, a few weeks ago you could drive through here.
We are at Grange Hall. It's just south of the North Glen 112 station.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. You get to see all kinds of different stuff.
There are on some projects some surprises that may or may not come up.
When we first started on our excavation, we started digging down and we got about 3 or 4 feet in the ground. And then we ran across what looked like an old railroad tie.
We found a old UP trestle bridge. It was a former Union Pacific rail line that RTD acquired for the property for building end line.
Yeah, I was surprised it was there. Once we found the span of it, we just uncovered it just at the top. As a historical society and RTD had us expose it, we were very, very careful to expose it. You know, we didn't hit it with any equipment or anything like that until the historical society did their documentation, took their photos. Anything that's found in the ground, whether it be a penny or a bridge, if it's more than 50 years old, you have to call the historical society. They come out and document it, take pictures, all that good stuff. Right there, 1951. The pipe was put in 1951. That's when they actually buried it. So it's been setting since 1951. You know, under the dirt. Nobody had any idea it was here. I've never ran across a train trestle. I've ran across some strange things, but not a train trestle.
Okay, nerd alert, that's really cool though. Historical Society came out to make sure there weren't any special artifacts in the area and did give RTD the okay to take down the old trestle and continue with that project. We're back in a bit with an example of the kind of kindness that rarely makes the news. We try to appreciate and highlight the small things that you tell us make life better. Like the nice neighbor who left Gatorade bottles on her trash cans. Tammy Nelson spotted this in her neighborhood. Took her a second to figure out that it was her neighbor Margie doing a good deed for the trash collection workers who are out there in all kinds of weather, working hard all the time. Tammy shared this photo with us. We share it with you with the hopes that you will also look for the chance to do something nice for someone this week. Feedback is always nice, even when it's Mike's. Get rid of the next show. Who cares what Kyle Clark thinks? Guy's way too full of himself. A cartoon show would be better than this. What do you think, Cody? We do a cartoon show next time? That'd be good. I like that. Thanks for the idea, Mike.